Providing live finance advice on WMAC since 1993. It's time for Your Money with Steve Rosenberg, Sherry Goss, and Randy Goss. To participate in today's program, call 478-742-0940 with your financial questions or comments. And now live from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Okay.
Yo,
ready or not, here we are. Saturday morning. I didn't want to get up.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
You got to do what you got to do.
You have no choice. You're getting paid big
bucks for being here.
If you hadn't signed that $1 million agreement, you would not have. You could have taken the day off.
Y'all coming in all right?
Yeah, I can hear myself fine.
Yeah.
Can you hear us okay?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I can hear Sherry great. I get it stereo. I don't even need my headphones to listen to it. I could be down the street and I could hear Sherry.
Wow.
So, what's the biggest thing on your list to talk about today?
Well,
Trump.
Trump?
No. There was this interesting article by Jim Rickards, who's that guy you can't stand.
Yeah, because he's so negative. He's a doomsdayer. But yeah, you got to be something to get some traction out there.
Yeah,
he
was the lead counsel for Long-Term Capital. That big company that ended up...
That went bankrupt?
Yeah. But they did it legally. He was the guy.
The guy.
He's the guy. So he writes a newsletter. We get a lot of different newsletters because we manage money. So anyway, he said... he's talking about the campaign's been caught up in claims and counterclaims about Trump's handling of COVID and what Biden must have done, that it would have done, and all this kind of stuff.
I need like a blowhorn.
These all have some importance and are types of issues Americans like to weigh in on consideration of which candidate to vote for, but they're not always the kinds of issues of most immediate concern to investors. The pandemic is a big deal, but most of the market impact has already been priced in. And that's the thing about the stock market. The stock market prices in what it knows. So you don't know something that the stock market, and the stock market is just this conglomeration of gazillion people who buy and sell stocks. So if it's already baked in the cake, then it's kind of too late to take care about it. He said it's a big deal, but it's been priced in, so people know that it's still a problem. The pandemic might be with us longer than many analysts thought at first, but it will fade eventually, and life will go on. The Supreme Court nomination is also momentous, but the impact of a particular justice plays out over 30 or 40 years, not all at once. Amy Coney Barrett, if confirmed, which we expect, will still be on the court long after many of today's investors are long into their secure retirement years. That said, there's some differences between the candidates that have a far more direct impact on investors and are getting far less attention. At the top of that list is the difference between how Trump and Biden would tax your capital gains sales on stocks, bonds, and other investments. Right now, capital gains are charged at either 0%. Capital gains is when you sell stock, real estate, whatever, at a profit. So there's 0%, 15%, or 20%, depending upon how much overall income you have. So let's assume that 20% is the rate that applies for the sake of discussion. Joe Biden's campaign proposed it. That's the thing about Democrats, that they always like to tell you they're raising taxes. And they all do it, and they end up losing because Biden says, well, it doesn't matter unless you make more than $400,000. Well, that's not true.
It's not true at all.
No, because if you make enough gains, it's going to push you into a higher tax bracket.
Right.
So that's the whole thing. But that's, he doesn't know. So let's assume that 20% is the rate that applies for the sake of discussion. Joe Biden's campaign proposes to almost double this tax to 39.6%. If Biden wins, the earliest that the new high rate would come into effect is January 1st, 2021. Even if the law is passed later, it could easily make it be retroactive, which they can do. Politicians who plan to raise taxes often assume investors will just sit there and let it happen. That's not true. In my experience, investors can see changes coming and react to protect their own positions. You could wait until election night, and then if Biden wins, sell your stocks the next day to get the lower rate. The problem is that everybody else will be doing the same thing, and a full-scale market crash will be underway. Some investors will anticipate this and sell their stocks in October to beat the crash. That's fine, but you could do even better and start lightening up on your stock positions, especially the big winners right now. And so, and this kind of goes on like that. So, you know.
Here's the one that gets me. There's a whole bunch of stuff about Joe Biden. I really don't want to talk about this a whole lot because people are probably sick and tired of hearing about it. But there's such stupid things like the $15 an hour minimum wage. So a couple weeks ago, I happened to have a guy who owns 20 Sonic drive-ins come see me. And the week before that, I had a guy that owned 8 Marco's Pizza locations. They cannot pay $15 an hour and function. They cannot. It is impossible. Anybody with a brain in their head should realize you cannot make everyone pay $15 an hour at minimum. Restaurants pay $3 and change. You make up the rest in tips, and that's what you pay to get minimum wage or more, depending on the kind of restaurant and what kind of tips you get. You cannot pay a restaurant worker $15 an hour. It'd break them. It would destroy them.
You'd have to raise your prices, and then the people.
Then nobody will go.
Coming.
Yeah, nobody will go there. This is stupid. Everything he wants to do is so stupid I could scream. Am I screaming yet?
This
is not even
down there on the screen.
Oh my God. So corporate taxes are going up to 40% from small businesses. Small businesses that are struggling under this economy, you want to raise their taxes from 24 to 40%?
And Bortz always said that corporations don't pay taxes; they collect taxes and just pass it on to
well, that's not true for me. I'm an S corporation, and I pay a third of everything I make is in taxes. It's almost 50% in taxes right now when I run my payroll.
Yeah, but we're talking about businesses that are paying $15 an hour or whatever. They can't really afford to do it.
No, they can't. End of right-to-work laws. So he wants to force workers to join a union and pay union dues whether they want to or not. Right now, Georgia is a right-to-work state that you can choose if you want to join the union. He wants to force you to join a union.
Yeah.
That's why the unions are backing him with a bunch of money. This is the one that really gets me. So my dad passed away about 6 years ago, and he had a 400-acre farm, and he has 100 acres in North Idaho that's going to be mined with garnets, and it's got timber on it that they can log. So we thought the garnet mining was going to be happening now, but it's been put on hold because Obama had shut down mining. Mm-hmm. So there's a backlog of mining because Obama shut it down. The whole time he was in office, one of the first things he did was shut it down and declared our property, one of his peeps, a wetland.
Right.
So
they
now
did that with oil areas.
Tons of property was all of a sudden a wetland. You couldn't do anything with it. So now we can finally do something with it. Biden wants to tax family farms, ranches, or family-owned businesses 45% when you die. So fortunately, we've already split that property up in Idaho amongst all of us, so it's not going to be hit with an estate tax. But let's say your parents have a farm or a business and they own it and you're going to inherit this thing. He wants 45% of that money, of what it's worth in taxes. This is the biggest disaster. I can't believe nobody's talking about this. I've only seen it in one article. This is huge. It's robbery. Your parents built something from the ground up out of nothing. My dad built something out of absolutely nothing. It was dirt. And turned it into something, and now you're going to rob half of it. This guy's a moron.
A moron.
I'm serious. That's not the it. It goes on and on and on. Of the Paris Climate Treaty, he wants to get back into that, which is a total disaster. We just throw our money away at other countries and we get nothing out of it. I don't understand this. I don't understand why anybody with a brain in their head would vote for this guy.
For all the people who want free money from the government.
Oh, yeah, you're going to get an
that's
earned
what-
income tax credit. It's going to go up to $15,000. Your college student loans are going to be paid off. Yeah,
Yeah.
great for you. Bad for people that actually work and make money.
Yeah.
We got a phone call?
Yeah, 742-0940 is the number. You can shut Sherry up.
Please, hurry. Do something.
Save me. Okay. Good morning. You're on your money with Sherry and Steve.
Oh, God.
Good morning to you, both of you.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to both of you. And I was just saying that for she's talking very good talk today. One thing, what I'm not going to give investment advice, but when George W. Bush was running for office, my brother was trying to decide whether or not to get into the stock market.
Uh-huh.
And so what happened was that he I told him, like I said, if George W. Bush would get elected, then chances are the stock market was going to fall and you're going to lose a lot of money. But don't worry about it. Almost like on a horse ride. You ride it out, and chances are he'll recover. And that's exactly what happened. And, of course, he got mad at me because he did lose a lot of money in the beginning. But as he just kept the money into the bank, then to the investment firm, then he would have overcome. The same holds true with just the president now. As far as Trump, he's saying that the stock market will fall if Biden is elected. That is true, but it will recover. So recovering is what I think all the people should be thinking about. And it's just almost like a horse ride. As far as you get on a stallion, you're gonna have to go up and down, but eventually it will wind itself down to that it was level itself out. So I'm asking everybody to really get out and vote today as for the provision, old Houston Mall, so that everyone from 9 o'clock until 4 o'clock, you can go out and early vote. So please do that.
Yeah,
today.
please.
Yeah.
Please vote.
Right, and Macon at the old at the new building right across from Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, Eisenhower and Pionono. That's fantastic. Right. They're doing a great job there.
Right,
that's where we vote.
Yeah. Right, that's right. And I know you probably, I'm not going to say what party that you're voting for, but
you can't tell.
For Raphael Warnock, I think he's going to win that thing at foot on the Democratic side compared to. Also, I do believe the Democrats are going to do very good on this election. So they really get out and vote for you.
Yeah, well, there's tons of people voting.
Yep.
That's for sure.
It'll be very interesting to see how this rolls out. Yeah. Thanks so much for the call. And yes, people do need to vote. It's one of the biggest rights you have in this country is to vote. Everyone needs to vote. If you're not registered and you don't vote, go to Canada.
They'll vote for you.
So this is interesting. He brings up the whole thing. So Wall Street has many concerns about the upcoming elections, but one of the greatest worries looming in the minds of investors is the Biden campaign's proposed tax agenda. This table, you can't see it. Sorry, I can't show it to you. The table below shows the tax increases since 1940, which have been more than 1% of GDP in comparison to the Biden campaign's tax plan. Biden's proposed tax plan would be the largest tax increase since 1968. It is massive. This suggests that tax increases typically don't have an outsized negative effect on the stock market. At the same time, major tax changes often have a more profound impact on an individual and corporate. So I don't understand how that doesn't affect the market if people are getting strangled by their taxes. So and this is one of the investment newsletters that we get. Is the stock market forecasting a Trump victory? Since 1923, the S&P 500 performance in the 3 months prior to Election Day has earned an 87% accuracy of forecasting whether the incumbent president or their party will retain the Oval Office or be replaced. With the S&P 500 currently up 5.7% and only 12 market days, and this is on the 16th that this is printed, 12 market days left until November 3rd, the market is clearly forecasting a Trump victory. So I looked at it on August 4th, which is the beginning of the 3-month period they're talking about. The S&P 500 was at 3306, and Friday it closed at 3462. So they're saying that based on history...
It's only 3%.
Huh?
It's only 3%.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes. But if the market is up, They're saying historically, if the market S&P 500 is up in the 3 months prior to the election, the incumbent wins.
Okay. Because the last election doesn't count because there was no incumbent.
Right. Anywho.
But if you're, I say this all the time, if you're a monthly investor and you're putting money in 401k, and that's where most of your money is, then just hope the market goes down because you're going to be buying at lower prices. Mm-hmm. The whole thing in 401k investing and dollar cost averaging is to pay the lowest price you can for whatever you're investing in.
And what we do...
And sit with it and just do it that way. And so when the market eventually will come back, and then you will have bought all those at low prices. The problem is people just get panicky and they dump everything at the low, and they don't get in until they're feeling better, which is after the market's gone way up. And so they're buying high and selling low, which is the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
So what we do for people is we manage portfolios. We have our own portfolio manager that watches the market all day and determines how much risk we should take in our portfolios. And most of our clients are retirees, and they cannot take a big hit. They can't afford it, especially if they're taking distributions to live on every month. And so we become conservative when risk is high. And so we've been pretty conservative through this whole year. We stopped out of a bunch of stuff back in March when the virus was happening, and then we got back in as the market was going back up. So that's what we do. Those are the people that we attract to us, is people that want somebody actively managing their portfolio.
And by the way, do you know who was president in 1968?
No.
You have a guess?
I was in middle school. I don't know.
Well,
I have no idea. Then. I was worried about my clothes.
Lyndon Baines Johnson.
I was wearing bell bottoms.
Lyndon and Lady Bird. Bell bottoms.
Well, I was having to sew all my own clothes. That was my big concern, is trying to make my own clothes that I sewed myself look like something that came off of a store rack, so I didn't look like a loser.
The Congressional Budget Office says that the U.S. debt is unsustainable. Well, that's a surprise. Tell them not to. They're the ones that spend the money. I love it. It's like telling somebody that doesn't have money, you're spending too much money. And you're one of the people. It's like the husband saying to the wife, "You're spending too much money." This is the Congressional Budget Office. It's the official referee of budget deficits or surpluses for the United States Congress. Its views are also closely watched by the White House, and spending and tax bills have to move through Congress anyway. CBO earns a lot of respect and deference in part because they are nonpartisan, although like everything in Washington, they tilt left. And expert, they have a lot of budget geeks who don't get too involved in politics away from their CBO duties. That said, there's a lot of disagreement with CBO estimates. The first thing is that their budget deficit estimates are consistently wrong. If you're consistently wrong, maybe you should just not why don't you keep your mouth shut and don't say anything?
Right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't figure out how the budget's going to, gazillion-dollar budget, you're going to figure out how things
Well, it's probably a mandate that they have to make some commentary. As a government agency, They probably have to send a report out once a year, and it's wrong and no one pays attention to it.
Yeah. First thing, there's a lot to disagree with in CBO estimates. The first thing is the budget deficit. I've said that. Deficits come in about $200 billion a year or so, more worse. What? Deficits come in about $200 billion or more worse. Jeez. What moron wrote that sentence?
More worser.
More worser. That's a term. More. We got to put the on the end of that. Of course. That would take care of it. Anyway, second thing is they compute debt to GDP ratio, which is a critical gauge of fiscal solvency and investor confidence, without counting U.S. Treasury debt held in Social Security trust fund accounts. They only look at debt held by the public. That's ridiculous, who wrote this. Oh, that's Jim Rickards again.
He just wants to always have a negative slant on everything. That's all he thrives on.
Well, but that's important. Somebody to pick out all this negative stuff that bounces off the press that doesn't know anything anyway. They only look at debt held by the public. That's ridiculous. Do they actually believe the Social Security Trust Administration does not rely on Treasury debt being paid on time and has agreed in meeting obligations to retirees and orphans? When you count all the government debt, the debt to GDP ratio is around 135%. This is well in the danger zone, anything higher than 90. And it puts U.S. in the same league as Greece, Italian, and Lebanon. Woo, Lebanon! It's good enough for Lebanon. It's good enough for us.
We're closing in on Japan.
Oh, yeah, Japan. They have all debt.
200%.
All debt and no equity. So, anyway.
What's the point? The point is we're having to spend a lot of money on our debt, so that's why interest rates are so low. It makes it easy to manage it. The only problem happens when the interest rates go up, and then you got a problem.
And then the government's got to pay out, And that is going to be
or write it off, do something. Throw that one in the trash can while you got it laying there.
Bye, Jim. Enjoy your trash can.
Oh, God. This is my favorite article of the week. It has nothing to do with your money. I'm sorry. I just really love this article. So America's
something wacky.
America's most prominent endowment chief has a message for the firms that manage the school's money. Hire more women and minorities or possibly lose the university's backing. This is Yale. Yale University that has a $31.2 billion endowment fund. The guy that's running the endowment fund, a 2019 study commissioned by the Knight Foundation found women and minority-owned firms held less than 1% of assets managed by mutual funds, hedge funds, private equity funds, and real estate funds. This guy has championed the idea that big investors should diversify beyond stocks and bonds and incorporate qualitative assessments of management in investment companies. So they plan to ask their managers. They sent a letter out to all of their fund managers that manage this $30+ billion endowment fund and said, from now on, we're going to look at the diversity of your firm, and if you don't have female and diversified staff managing our money, you could lose the business. We will take it away from you. The problem is there's nobody to hire that is of color. I mean, we got 4 women in our firm, 3 guys, and we're all white. There's no one. Has anybody of color ever applied for a job at the shop with you?
Yeah, we had one of the office personnel.
One once.
One.
In like 40 years?
Yeah, but otherwise they've never come.
There's nobody.
Yeah.
And there's nobody. I mean, I don't even know. Now in Macon, there are financial advisors, I'm sure, that are of color. I don't know, but I don't know any of them. But how do you threaten a firm and say, if you don't diversify into females and women, people of color, and we're gonna dump you as an investment firm when there's nobody to hire?
I don't mind you hiring people of color, but how could you hire women to do this?
What are you talking about?
Who would hire a woman?
A bossy woman yet.
Yeah, a crazy woman. A mental case.
But there's no way you can diversify. This is like the film industry. So this guy has gone down the whole Black Lives Matter rabbit hole, and that's where he's living, and he's running an endowment fund worth $30 billion and thinks that he needs to force this on the investment firms that manage the endowment fund. Who are they going to hire? There's no way they can diversify what he's asking to. It's impossible. So he's going to ask every year. He's going to ask for a diversity survey every year when he evaluates the return that they make on the funds. This is going to be another factor that he will factor into the returns. It's not just the return and how well they're doing managing the money. It's going to be how many of these other people do you have working for you? And if you don't have enough of those people, you're going to get kicked out. This is insanity.
Forget how well you do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that funny thing that somebody wrote about, let's make the NFL have to be more diverse and make it more equal, like more white people that can't that can't run.
You gotta have more white football players.
Oh my God.
Oh God. Okay, well, let's talk about something pleasant.
Oh, good.
More Americans are renouncing their citizenship.
Who saw that coming?
This is from the Wall
Are they all
Street
living
Journal.
out of? Are they all moving out of New Jersey and New York?
I don't know. It says nearly
San Francisco.
37,000 have expatriated over the past decade. That's not a lot.
That's not anything.
No, that's not much at all. Rock goddess Tina Turner did it. So did Facebook co-founder Eduardo Severin.
50 Cent.
And I didn't know this, that Boris Johnson was a U.S. citizen.
What?
He was, yes.
How did he end up over there?
He was born in the United States of America.
Well, his parents moved to England, and
Yeah,
what
they say,
happened?
well, he's not crazy enough here, so we got to send him over there. Go off the deep end.
Oh God.
So anyway, the Federal Register publishes a list of names quarterly, but this year promises to set a record. I wonder why. In the first 2 quarters,
Taxes.
more than 5,300
Yeah,
people
let's take half of your money. Then, boy, that's a sign. You should go.
You know, and people, when we were in Ecuador, because we went to Galapagos, so we flew to Ecuador and then went to Galapagos from there. And in Ecuador, the U.S. dollar is the currency of record.
Okay.
So it's easy for people then to go there.
What does that have to do with this?
I'm just telling people, if you repatriate...
Oh, you don't have to change your currency. You can still pay in
You can
dollars.
still take your penny jar with you. and all those pennies, they'll weight down your luggage. You'll probably be overcharged for luggage if you do that. But anyway, you take all...
Ecuador is probably a cheap place to live.
Yeah,
I would think.
And it's a nice country. And you know what they put there? They put the equator there.
Hmm.
So it's just coincidence that the equator happens to be in Ecuador. I mean, what luck they had. Could have been named something else, but it just kind of coincides with the equator.
So they speak English?
Pretty much, yeah.
Or Ecuadorian?
I can't remember what
Oh, God, save us from ourselves.
Save us from the sanity. Good morning, you're on your money.
Good morning. My name's Sonny. How are you doing?
Hey, we're fantastic.
Good, good. Hey, I have a question totally different from everything you've been talking about.
Thank God.
Working capital accounts in business. I
Yeah.
keep about $50,000-$60,000
Uh-huh.
in a checking account, which earns absolutely nothing.
Right?
Right.
And I'm just wondering if you have any suggestions of where I might put that money, but still have access to it, a different type of account.
The problem is nothing's earning anything without taking risk. That's the problem. You know, money markets are paying nothing, banks are paying nothing. So there's not a whole lot. I mean, you could always open up an investment account and put the money in there, but then that's risk.
Right.
And so
Right.
you don't want to take any risk on that money.
That's what Randy's doing with the Pittman money.
Yeah.
Because he has a bunch of money sitting in an account, he started investing it because he can't earn anything anywhere. But he's doing it all himself. And I mean, that is what it is. It's what's going to be, whatever happens.
That is the problem. There have been, when rates were a little bit higher.
I mean, money
couple
market's paying
percent.
like 1.2
Where?
in Vanguard money market.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's about all you're going to get
Yeah, the
without
Vanguard,
risk.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Vanguard money market account is paying about 1.2. It was paying more, but it's down.
It's painful.
Yeah, so I mean, we have the same problem with with risk-free money with us, but when we're managing portfolios for clients, but we're diversifying among a number of different things. But
Right.
as far as because you have to, it has to be safe, and you have to have access to it.
Right.
Exactly.
That's the
You
problem.
don't want to tie it up, and that is the problem. The other,
Yeah.
now, what you could do if you're willing to tie it up for a little bit, what you could do is you could put that money in your name. Are you a corporation?
Yes.
S. S.
Yes.
Okay. So you could actually put that money in your name and then go online to one of the online, Synchrony or Marcus. I think Marcus is part of Goldman Sachs. They're paying more than anybody, but it's still not. It's like 0.8% or something like that. So it's probably not worth.
Not
your
worth even
activation.
doing that.
So
Yeah. Okay.
because if you're going to need the money, you have to have the money. And then if you put some money in something like that, then there's a surrender charge if you cash it in early. So you defeated everything.
It could end up costing me money.
Yeah,
Yes.
it costs you more money than you get.
Right. What a country.
So just have to wait some time, and once if the Democrats take care of everything,
Your business will just be paying tons of taxes.
Yes.
Hey, I think you guys are my lake neighbors, by the way.
Really?
Yes, I live on PowerPoint Road.
Okay. We're on 1049.
You're in Island Creek.
Yeah, 1049
Yep.
Car Station Road. We look out at that little island.
Yeah, I know exactly where you are.
Uh-oh.
There's a guy next to you that has a Century boat, an inboard Century boat, just like mine.
Oh, yeah. He's a great guy. You need to meet him.
So I cruise by every now and then. But yeah, I'm on the big water out by the dam.
Okay.
But
As long as you're...
same area.
All righty. As long as you're not a stalker, that's great.
Swing by. No, I'm not a stalker. Not a stalker. So you can swing by sometime.
You should swing by. We're going to be out there this weekend, in fact.
Just watch the minefield that's between them and the lake. That's all you got to do. So take a mine detector with you, and you'll make it.
And the dogs don't bite.
Well, if you see a blue and white Century boat, that's me.
Blue and white. Excellent. Good deal.
Yep. All right. Thank
Have a
you.
great one.
Well, thank you for the no advice.
That's what we do. We're here not to give advice.
Okay. Good deal. Have a great day.
Funny.
You too.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to change gears here for a second.
Thank you.
So you guys all saw the vein commercial I did for Dr. Harper. The story of 14 years ago, I had vein surgery, had to have it again, 150 incisions in my legs because it's inherited. I have varicose veins. It's inherited. My whole family has it. My mom had it. Whatever. Could be worse. Could be a worse thing than veins, right? Because at least they can fix veins.
Yeah. My vein operations never hurt me.
Huh?
My vein operations never hurt me.
Really?
Yeah.
So I was reading a magazine last weekend.
Vain.
Huh?
You're so vain.
You're so vain.
You probably think the show is about you.
So anyways, I'm reading a magazine last weekend, and I read this article about this device, and it's spelled Cubii, and they call it QB, and I don't understand where the name comes from, but it's a elliptical that goes under my desk, and I ordered one, and I started using it Monday, and I cannot even tell you the difference it's made in the circulation in my legs. It's unbelievable. It's like a workout while I'm looking at the computer.
The only problem is she keeps pedaling, but then you look later, she's still here.
Yes. And I sit on an exercise ball while I'm pedaling, and so I get a double kind of thing
This is Wacko City here.
But I'm telling you, if you have circulation issues, you need to look into. I ordered on Amazon, and it showed up in 2 days, and I'm using it every day. Like yesterday, I pedaled off and on all day. I mean, my muscles are sore from it.
Yeah, I bet.
Sitting in my chair.
Your thighs sore? Your thighs
my
sore?
glutes are mostly sore. Thighs, I can feel it, but it's like 20 minutes into it, I have like a tingly sensation of the circulation in my legs. I've never experienced a jump roping. Nothing has done this for me like this. Yeah. It's amazing. $250. If you have circulation problems, highly recommend it. There's no scientific research on the website that it's to back it up. I'm just giving you a personal testimonial.
How did you decide to do it? What made you decide to do it?
The article that I read. And plus I can return it in 30 days and get my money back.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't have anything to lose. But the first day I used it, the first 20 minutes, I could feel a difference.
It's amazing.
It is amazing for $250. Totally worth it. Anywho. So college enrollments are down, of course, because people are sick and tired of paying for college and having study at home stuff. Undergraduate enrollment tumbled this fall as many colleges and universities around the country, dragged down by a sharp drop in first-year students, mostly freshmen, who upended by the coronavirus pandemic. Overall, undergraduate population shrank 4%. First-year students fell by 16%. These colleges are struggling. So they don't want to do classes online. They don't want to travel. They don't want to stay in a city where there's condensed population. Their parents don't want them being exposed to people that might have a virus. So I found that really fascinating. And so then the next story was college costs were rising. So they're talking about hundreds of colleges going out of business. In a year or two, they expect to see something like 100 colleges on the brink of financial ruin because of this and because of people shifting to online. So I had to go back and look at where I went to school because they're talking tuition and fees plus room and board for a 4-year private college average $49,000 a year.
It's crazy.
That's just stupid.
It's criminal.
It's stupid. Why would you pay that?
It's criminal. I mean, really, all these colleges, it's criminal. All they're doing is trying to out-build buildings than the other college, nicer buildings and all this other kind of stuff. And it just costs tons of money, and so they raised tuition. So the kids are paying for all these stupid big buildings. I went to school.
We had big buildings where I went to school, and I only paid $500 a semester.
And I paid $199 or something.
That was back in the dark ages.
Yeah. We had to bring our own candles to class so we could see. But it's ridiculous, and a lot of those buildings are still standing today. I mean, they've been here, so it's horrible when you see all these colleges trying to outdo each other.
So I went back and looked at the University of Idaho, which is where I graduated from, Moscow, Idaho. I paid $500 a semester in 1980. Guess how much the price has increased in percentage today? Guess.
2,000.
0.9%. It's up hardly at all. It's up
Really?
like $1,000 a year. State school, University of Idaho, only costs $1,000 more than what I paid in 1980 for the same education.
Is that for in-state or out-state? Or does it say?
In-state. Which, I mean, I couldn't even believe it. It's so crazy. It's like nothing. It's so cheap. And the dorms were not expensive. I was in a sorority, which that probably cost more than the tuition.
So Ohio State, for Ohio residents, is $11,000.
But you actually have like teams of like sports teams that people pay attention to and stuff like that you have to spend a lot of money on. See, university.
No, it's actually the other way around.
They make money?
Yes. If they were this year, the Big Ten idiot who just took over decided they're not going to have football at all.
Huh?
And because it's too dangerous.
Even though you wear a helmet, you just put a mask on.
So the presidents of the university said, we need all that money because they get all this TV. They get hundreds of millions of dollars for the.
Oh, for advertising because they actually matter.
Yeah. No, they don't get it for advertising. Fox televises Big Ten football games.
Okay.
And each team gets millions and millions and millions, like $100 million or something, because Fox pays to televise the games. And I'm sure the SEC gets money from ESPN to televise games. Football is the only one that really brings in big money. Because most schools, the sports are non-revenue, swimming and stuff like that. There's competition, right. but people don't pay to see people swim or whatever.
That is true. I wouldn't.
And so they need that money from athletics. So Ohio State, the tuition is on the main campus $11,000 for Ohio residents and $32,000 for out-of-state residents. That's a lot.
What's so funny, where I went to in University of Idaho, we had teams, and they were all horrible because it's an agricultural area.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of farmers. So you don't have people that are good at basketball and football or golf or anything. Plus, it snows on Halloween and thaws out in May. And so it's not like you can practice a lot on a golf course or do. I mean, it's just the sports were not good. We had to import people to try to make a team.
We had a lot of snow in Ohio. I remember, I can't believe I did this, after a snow, I drove my car across the golf course going up and down. It was really kind of cool.
What?
Yeah.
You were a delinquent?
I don't know why I did it. It's just fun to slide around on the snow in a car.
But the bottom line is, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get an education. And there's a brand new program that just rolled out this week called Greater Macon Works. And this website is phenomenal. If you've got a young person in your world that is trying to figure out what they want to do with their life, this is where they need to go. Greater Macon Works. Brand new. I just got this from the Chamber of Commerce. So you go into the system, you log in, you can do job training online, take courses on video, learn at your own pace with friendly, easy-to-use courses. The system keeps track of your progress and results. Learn from anywhere where you have an internet connection. That's kind of important. Watch videos, listen to podcasts, look at examples, get suggestions for further learning, watch real people in real jobs. So I watched one of these videos, and the story was this kid was trying to figure out what he wanted to do for a living. And so he watched a video, and it gave him all these different career options, and he really liked nursing and what nurses do. So then you can go down the rabbit hole of what a nurse does, and they have actual nurses talking about what their day is like, what they do, what they had to learn, all this kind of stuff. And then you can do your training right through the same site. And then employers can post jobs on this site as well, so they can connect, they can see who's on there learning and where they are in the learning process.
Wow. Yeah.
And then they can hire people based on what their interests are. It's phenomenal. So if anybody is interested in this, Greater Macon Works. I mean, every month somebody's rolling out a new program to try to get people able to get a job because we have a shortage of all these employees. We need people to get to work.
We do. Here's another article about the markets and the election. This is from Motley Fool, which is a research company. Guy says, I have political beliefs, strong ones even. You do too. You don't care about mine, and I don't care about yours, not in this article at least. But you and I share something in common. We both want to be good investors. So let me make a plea to you over the coming weeks and months. No matter where you stand on the election or who you want to win, do your best to keep your political views from influencing your investment decisions. A critical part of investing is realizing that investing is not the study of finance. It's the study of how people behave with money. Because effectively they're voting with their money, right? If they think things are going to go good, they put money in the market. If they think things are going to go bad, they're going to get money out of the market.
Or they pick sectors based on who's going to get pounded.
Yeah. It's the study of how people behave with money. And a few topics I've come to learn as our toxic to good investor be.
What?
Forget that sound. Good investing is about keeping a cool head, maintaining long-term perspective and reality. And I'll skip a lot of this stuff. But the correlation between simple narratives and investment returns is almost never as strong as you think it will be. In 2000, Newsweek wrote that if George W. Bush won, airline stocks would be a good buy because a broad tax cut has a tendency to increase discretionary spending, as one analyst put it. By 2005, 4 of the 6 largest airlines went bankrupt.
Oops.
In 2004, CNN Money wrote that Bush would benefit financial companies. They said financials and asset management firms could gain because the president is perceived to be more market friendly. By the end of 2008, as you know, the financial sector collapsed and was bailed out by the government. In 2008, the argument was that Barack Obama win would be good for green energy companies. The iShares Green Energy Fund promptly lost more than 80% of its value, and even today trades for less than half of what it was worth in the summer of 2008. So in 2012, the popular line was Obama win would lead to part of the tax cuts, the Bush tax cuts expiring, sinking stocks. The tax cuts did expire, but the S&P increased 15% per year. So it's a gamble to just buy because there's one thing to buy companies because they're good companies. They got they're good markets. They got
good numbers.
Yeah, good numbers. They're making money and all this kind of stuff. That's fine. But when you start trying to get in to the psychological part of the whole thing is where people just kind of get off the wall. So you got to keep your opinion out of this because it's not about what you think. It's what everybody
or what you
else
believe.
Yes. It's what everybody else believes because there's more of them than there are of you, so they're going to control the price of the market, and you will have no impact whatsoever. No offense, folks, but you have no impact on the market whatsoever.
That's a very good point.
So just use your head.
Okay. So I got 3 articles this week in my inbox of this. This is the next big thing. So the German Corona, hang with me here, Extra Parliamentary Inquiry Committee, launched July 10th of 2020, was founded by 4 trial attorneys to investigate and prosecute those responsible for implementing the economically devastating lockdowns around the world. We're talking major class action lawsuit, global class action lawsuit. These guys are geniuses. So the most massive tort case ever, a case described as probably the greatest crime against humanity ever committed. They argue that the pandemic measures were intended to sow panic so the pharmaceutical and tech industries could generate huge profits from the sale of tests, antigen, and antibody tests and vaccines. Lockdowns were unnecessary, and any claim to the contrary is wrong. They insist the virus was already in retreat and infection rates were starting to decline when lockdowns were imposed. So they are suing everybody. And they expect this to be global. And I have 2 other articles about, there's another group, the Great Barrington Declaration, a petition that claims current lockdown policies on COVID are producing devastating effects on short and long-term public health. There's thousands of doctors that have signed on to this thing from Harvard, Oxford, Stanford University, about how the lockdown was worse than if we had just allowed herd immunity. And they're saying we should have protected the elderly and the people at risk, and everybody else should have just gone on their way and not shut down all these businesses and destroyed business through all of this. And that's where they are. And they're going to have a bunch of people that want to be in on this. This businesses were destroyed because of this. It's a no-brainer.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, because I don't know.
Because of course the numbers are picking up again now for whatever reason.
We don't know if the numbers are picking up because people are sick or if they're just testing more. You can't tell. And the other part of this is testing and the false positives is another whole avenue of lawsuits. And then so there's websites. People are creating websites. People are filing lawsuits. It's going to be a big mess. And I don't see this going away anytime soon. And so, yeah, you can get involved in this if you've been. So here's the one that I think is valid as far as fraud. So in Florida, a couple months ago, I heard there were testing centers that were testing 100% positive. I happened to be listening to Rush running an errand at noon and one day. And so I came back to the office and I looked it up, and it's absolutely true that a TV station interviewed these testing companies in Florida, and they were reporting 100% positive testing. Everybody who they tested was positive. And I expected a lawsuit to start down there because when you're test positive, you have to stay home. Your kids have to stay home. Your spouse, you lose money for 2 weeks.
Right.
You have no cash flow. And here you are sitting at home for 2 weeks with your kids trying to do school from home. It's a mess. And what if it was fake? What if it wasn't real? I've been expecting to see something out of Florida like that, but this will probably suck all those people up into this lawsuit.
The FDA warns that of methanol-tainted hand sanitizer, but they can't force companies to recall it. 17 people have died this year after being exposed to hand sanitizer made with methanol.
What?
A high toxic chemical, the FDA says. Among the corona, I haven't gotten to the good part yet. Amid the coronavirus pandemic, some hand sanitizers appear to have swapped in methanol as a dangerous substitute for ethanol.
Just added an M.
Yeah, just simple little M. This is my favorite part. A 44-year-old man in the Southwest seeking medical treatment after his vision suddenly deteriorated admitted that he had been drinking hand sanitizer. I mean, how stupid can you be?
What?
Yeah.
Why would
I guess
you?
they didn't say. It probably says don't drink it on the bottle because they put all these warnings on there.
I don't know if they have warnings on them. They're all coming out of China.
Blood tests revealed that he had been poisoned by methanol, an extremely toxic form of alcohol that is never supposed to be used in consumer products like hand sanitizer. Despite
lawsuit.
Despite treatment, he was left permanently blind.
And you know, all those in a wreck, get it checked billboards are going to go away overnight. And it's going to be hand sanitizer lawsuit. It's going to be coronavirus. Were you unlawfully, made to stay home because you had a fake positive test? How are you going to prove that? I mean, this is going to be a massive tort event.
Yeah, people are stupid. That's what Ron White says. You can fix a lot of things, but you can't fix stupid.
I miss Ron White. I need some Ron White.
Let's go on the internet.
I need to do that this weekend.
Go to YouTube, pull up Ron White, and you'll sit there laughing.
Yeah, I need to do that.
It's my favorite thing is he was talking about flying into West Virginia, and he's sitting next, and the engines went out, so they're coasting going in, and he said the guy next to me was really, really nervous, and the guy next to me says, because the engines weren't on, how far do you think this plane will take us? And Ron White says, to the scene of the crash.
So I guess he survived.
So I guess it's not a true story.
So this clean energy plan of Joe Biden, where he wants to do away with oil in 15 years.
Yeah.
I
should make it illegal to have oil on your garage floor.
This is so stupid. We don't have.
Well, that's
we don't even
have electric cars, but you still need oil in
to fly a plane or something. Yeah, like you're going to make a plane.
And where there's friction, there's going to be friction. Like there's friction in tires. You got to have oil somewhere. Axles.
To run ships, kind of important for cargo, like railroads.
Yeah.
They can't run on electricity. There's not enough. We don't have enough components to make everything electric in 15 years. I hate to break it to you. If you really want all this clean energy that has no pollution, electricity is created by things that cause pollution. It's not coming out of thin air. It's not like you plug something into a tree trunk and you all of a sudden have electricity. You got coal plants. I mean, you got just...
I was reading a research report from a financial analyst, and he was talking about how great electric cars and everything are going to be. They're going to be faster than these cars and all this other kind of stuff. But, it's slow.
They can be faster, but they run out of steam in 200 miles.
Well, you assume that the battery is going to be better by then.
By when?
9,300,000.
See, I think hydrogen's the way to go. I think hydrogen makes more sense.
Well, how do you get hydrogen in a car?
Compress it. That was a big thing they were talking about years ago, and there's still talk about it, because you have to produce the electricity from something, and what you do. I mean, I saw this cartoon. It was like Norway or somewhere, and it had this electrical plug-in place where you could charge your car, and it was made from coal. It was like a coal-powered. You have to create the energy from something. It doesn't come out of thin air. So
it was interesting when we were in Norway. Speaking of Norway,
my homeland.
Yes, your homeland. And so I was talking to the captain of the ship, who happened to be from Norway, and I said, I'm surprised there's so many electric cars here with all the oil that
it's all subsidized.
Producing. And he said,
the country subsidizes it. That's why
they ship the oil away to other places,
right?
And they do the rest of it, and it's working well. And they got charging stations all over the place, and it's quiet because they don't have those engines.
So Shell.com has a really great article. Can sun and wind ever be like oil and gas? And they talk about how long it's going to take for us to get there. Reaching a 25% share of the global power generation with the light to electricity conversion efficiency of current photovoltaic cells, for example, would require areas comparable to the total net area. It's complicated. I mean, you'd have to have solar panels, like hundreds of miles of solar panels to generate enough to replace the oil that we use. It's not there yet. We're not there. AOC is on drugs.
That's being generous. I think she's just stupid.
I don't know why anybody believes her. I don't understand it. So. Anyways, thank you for listening if you hung in there through this insane program.
Yeah. If you've made it through the whole program, you're sick.
So we are
need help.
Steve Rosenberg and Sherry Goss with Rosenberg Financial Group. We do We have a full-time portfolio manager. We manage people's money, especially in retirement, based on risk tolerance. And so you can give us a call, 922-8100, if you'd like a consultation. I don't know why, after you listen to this show, you'd want to talk to us, but it might just be fun. We can have a good time.
Nothing, you'll have a good time. And visit our website, retirerelax.com, free videos, and Randy's putting new ones on all the time, free articles, and everything explains. And we got a video on the front page of the website that explains how we do what we do.
Yep.
So
a lot of special reports, my life book, and all that good stuff.
So
and with
anyway,
that, have a great weekend.
You're still here next weekend?
Yep.
Okay. So Sherry and I will be back with you next Saturday morning. Have a great week. Stay healthy.
Yep. Wash your hands.
Brush your teeth.
The views expressed on the show should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities or services mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risk, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should only be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Securities are offered through Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Rosenberg Financial Group, a registered investor advisor not affiliated with Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated. Offices are located at 2517 Moody Road, Warner Robins, and 4875 Riverside Drive, Suite 201 in Macon. Phone numbers are 922-8100 and 741-4457.